Kobe said this, 15 years ago, that there's going to come a day where the European game might surpass the American game just from a standpoint of fundamentals, from playing physical ball as a teenager, because so many young kids, are one and done in college and they want to come in. So you're obviously aware of that and sensitive to it.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, Shea isn't European; he's Canadian, but he's
the
seventh.
He's American because he went to school in China.
Yeah, but I would just say it's in terms of his development, the seventh slot player in a row where a non-American is the MVP of this league. I mean, the other six, slots, European, some repeats. But Kobe, of course, grew up playing basketball in Italy,
right?
And it was a fair point, and he was ahead of his time. And I think Kobe many conversations had with him, especially right when he retired, and it was, such a sad story, obviously, of his loss, but that he was very focused on youth basketball. He was training his daughter. He hoped he was going to be a great player in the WNBA, and what he kept pointing out too is that all that flash is great, but it's about winning games. At the end of the day, it's about team basketball. Look at the success of Oklahoma City. Look at the style of basketball they're playing. Look at the success of the Pacers. I think there are things that Europe is doing better than we are in terms of training. I think, and I feel a bit defensive about the American players because it's not for lack of a work ethic. In fact, I think what's happening in a lot of these programs, you talk about in Little League where you have, pitch counts for young pitchers, et cetera. If you look at what's happening in AAU, in many cases, you have young players playing 6, 7, 8 games,
multiple teams,
2 or 3 days at these tournaments. And I get it. If you're a young player and, that's the game that, Rick Pitino's coming to or whatever else, and you feel, and the people around you are like, he needs to see you play, and your knee's throbbing because you're 15 years old, you're still going to play. And I think it's another area that the NBA, I think, needs to get more involved in. And we've had these discussions with the NCAA just to have more oversight over youth basketball, because there's nothing more important to us than making sure that those elite players grow up to be team basketball players and not just have great skills, but understand how to win games.
I started the largest youth basketball league and tournament in New York City history. And we had a championship game once, and there was a kid on both teams. And he wasn't sure which team he was. The Gauchos, which was a legendary team, Carlos Towns with them, and another city team. And he didn't know which team to play for because he was on both. But
makes the point.